You are watching the Crypto Express channel, and today we are taking a look at the animal farm. Remember a normal disclaimer that nothing in this video is financial advice. Please do your own research and only invest what you are willing to lose. So surely in this video there is an AMA with the actual founder of the animal farm. He's going to do a deep dive of his background and a full in-depth explanation of how the animal farm works, how they generate yield, how to get involved, all of that good stuff. A basic overview though, we can see it's a DeFi lending platform with a crazy 160 million BUSD TVL. Again, they've only been live for like just over a month and they're already one of the highest TVLs on the entire Binance Smart Chain. One of the best things about the animal farm is the earnings are not paid in the native token. You can get your earnings paid in BUSD, BNB, etc. So people aren't dumping these tokens as you see in a lot of other staking platforms. You're paid out in the token, people are dumping them, it drives the price down, etc. But there's different farms you can have. There's two tokens, dogs and pigs. Again, the animal farm is actually based on the book, but pretty much in the farms, people can stake mixed assets themselves, which are then lent out to PancakeSwap. That's how the animal farm earns you yield. And then you are paid in the token dogs. Then with these dogs, you can stake them in the dog pound. Pretty much initially your dog tokens, there is a high tax on them and you need to pretty much stake them, which can be auto compounded or linearly compounded to reduce this tax. And while you're staking, you actually earn extra BUSD. Then with your dog tokens, you can actually farm them in the pools to earn the governance token pigs. I know all of this might sound a bit much, but if you listen to the AMA later with Forex Shark himself, he goes into depth a lot more with this. Then with your pig tokens, you can take these over into the pig pen. And pretty much this is where all of the rewards from the animal farm is paid out to the pig token holders. So you stake your pig tokens and you actually earn BUSD and pigs. This is pretty much paid from the fees of the animal farm. So in the interview, I actually said that Forex Shark was the owner of Animal Farm, and he did correct me because pretty much everyone holding the governance token pigs in the pig pen, you're all part owners because again, this BUSD reward vault is generated from all of the fees, for example, the sell tax on the dogs and the basically rewards that the animal farm does make by lending out these pools in PancakeSwap, etc. Also, there's this new earnings update here, which is actually really nice. Here we can see a global earnings in the farms. So in the last 365 days, we're looking at, well, if you would extrapolate, $100 million in earnings. But yeah, in the last one day, nearly 300,000. But as we can see, the TVL is growing. We'll hit probably $200 million very, very soon. Again, it's a super strong community with the animal farm, and it's not even been live that long. Again, a lot of projects take months and months, maybe even years to hit TVLs like this, and Animal Farm has done that already. In the AMA, Forex Shark does do a in-depth explanation about all of the features of Animal Farm. So if you have not heard of Animal Farm before, be sure to watch until the end because he does go through everything. He goes through this full dynamic supply control at the end, which is really nice. How all of the tokens work, how the animal farm generates revenue, etc. And what each of the different tokens mean. And if you stay to the end, he does have a few teasers of what is coming next for the animal farm. So I hope you guys do enjoy this AMA. Drop a comment down below if you would want more AMAs from me, or you want me to cover the animal farm anymore, because again, it is a really good project, pretty popular, and this community behind it strong. One of the top projects in DeFi, and I think it's like number 2 on the Binance Smart Chain behind like PancakeSwap, which is absolutely insane. But yeah, enjoy the AMA. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Okay, so yeah, we're here now with the owner of the animal farm, Forex Shark himself. So we're going to start off with just a little bit about your background and crypto experience, etc.
Yeah, awesome. So if you want to give me a background, if you want me to give you a background about myself, I can do that briefly. So I got involved with trading and capital management very early. Basically, my senior year of high school. I actually graduated a year early and did my senior year of high school in a university.
Okay.
And the previous year, I had taken a business management course that really interested me. And it interested one of my friends who ended up buying a bunch of books on trading and investing and really just kind of got the bug in me. And I started experimenting with options contracts and doing options trading on my parents' account that they set up for me. And through experimenting with that, I learned about some things that were going on in the financial space that were interested to me, basically alt finance. And this was around 2012. And a buddy of mine happened to be working for a guy that ran a sports book that just had their payment processor shut down.
Yep.
And they asked me, because they knew I was interested in alt finance,
Yeah.
if I knew any options. And I had just heard about a sports book that had introduced Bitcoin as a payment processor option.
Yeah.
So I helped them do the research on that and set up a very early Bitcoin payment processor in 2012. Bitcoin was at like $14. That's when I
So
initially
that's a
bought.
long time ago.
Yeah, yeah, and really, my initial entry into Bitcoin was through the development aspect and actually utilizing it.
Yeah.
Um, After that, I spent about a year focusing on other markets and not really paying much attention to Bitcoin until I saw that WikiLeaks had lost their payment processor. This is sometime in 2013,
Yeah.
and had uh, asked for Bitcoin donations as an alternative, and they got millions and millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. And that's really clicked for me that okay, my buddies lost their payment processor for their sports book, and Bitcoin was a viable alternative. Now WikiLeaks, who is at the time and still is a massively censored platform,
Yeah.
was able to establish a viable payment option in Bitcoin. This is a real strong utility, and clearly Bitcoin has a strong market fit here that I think is going to be very big. And this is when I made my first real investment into Bitcoin. I had already bought $500 worth at $14 just to kind of play around with it.
Yeah.
But
Test the
that's when I did my
waters.
first. Yeah, that's when I did my first big investment, and I had had some success there trading Bitcoin. I moved from the options market because really, um, it's I was utilizing it as a way to get some leverage, and I was just kind of experimenting with it as a kid. But I realized that I could get a lot of the same benefits, such as leverage, with a lot less regulation, a lot less complexity in the Forex market. So my focus was mainly Forex and Bitcoin at the time,
Yeah.
and I was having a lot of success. And I had bought some investment properties at the time, and I had a lot of friends and family that were interested in just learning more about trading and investing, and they always wanted me to teach them. And also, I was a part of some other Discord communities that were all ran by, because this is very early on, were all ran by either exchanges or people selling kind of scammy courses.
Yeah.
So I wanted to create a server where I could help educate my friends and family, and also just kind of use it as a trade journal where I could just use it as a place where I could store resources for myself and kind of journal my trades
Yeah.
and do that. And that grew, that rapidly grew.
Okay.
And by 2017 ish, I had thousands of members. And at the time, I was mostly um, Monero Bitcoin maxi, right? Because Ethereum was just hitting the market. There were not really any strong use cases of it. But this is just kind of the early ICO days. And a buddy of mine who is a part of the server told me about a friend of his that was doing a capital raise for an ICO, and that he was looking for people to invest, basically a pre-sale.
Yeah.
And I had I had this fairly large group of people that were interested in that kind of thing, and I got a strong backing of this developer and of this project. So I decided, yeah, let's raise some capital here, and I helped raise for the project. I didn't specifically raise the capital, but I brought on the people from my
Yeah.
group that were interested in it, and it was a big success. The project ended up doing over 10x. It was very successful, and since I brought on a large amount of investors, I had a lot of communications with the developer, and he realized that I had a lot of experience in marketing and markets, and specifically market making. So filling order books in centralized exchanges. This is before Uniswap was really a
Ah,
thing.
okay.
Uh, yeah, so he needed help having somebody make a market for them on the exchange, and I was running some Python script that was allowing me to make markets for various small cap projects, and I'd also built some various trading tools, so I have some experience in coding and development, and also I understand markets well. So I ended up joining him as an advisor. That went very well, and through that connection, I ended up getting an advisory role with dozens and dozens of projects from that point on. Like some really big projects in the space,
Yep.
Maha DAO, Trust Swap. I was, very, very early, like one of the first 10 people to get on board in Euro Finance, and
Wow.
dozens and dozens of projects that I worked with, raised
Yeah.
capital for, advised, and helped market. And I did this until 2020, until I saw an opportunity to develop something of my own. And this was a project had recently come up with the model that allowed for reflective rewards, so effectively a reward distribution um, without any kind of staking protocol.
Yeah.
And I saw that as a good starting model that could be used to build on top of, because it allowed people to earn without having to use any kind of third party contracts, and without having to rely as heavily on speculative trading,
Yeah.
because you're earning through holding. And I had learned in my few years there that I was just mostly focused on education in my Discord, that it's effectively impossible to teach someone how to trade. It's
Yeah.
like you you can give them some of the tools, the basic tools, but if they don't have the drive to learn themselves, they are most likely not going to be successful. And also, if you have a real specific edge in the market that's taking advantage of a market dynamic that gives you a repeatable and predictable edge in the market, this edge is not scalable. So every person that you bring on that you teach that edge is eating into your ability to profit from that edge,
Yeah. Yeah. For
and
sure.
eventually you crowd yourself out of the edge, and it's just not a profitable system anymore. So I realized that the whole education route of trading was not something that was going to be very effective, and if I was going to help people earn and make the most out of their investment strategies in these markets, it would be through building tools that allow them to earn through providing some kind of service, and have it be a yield generating model where they're earning some kind of dividend or some sort of interest through providing a service, whether that service is providing collateral for lending pools, or it's creating liquidity for markets and creating a fee, like a swapping fee, or some sort of model like this. I realized was going to be the future,
Yeah.
and I had continued to develop in that space. I've developed a handful of contracts, some of them being extremely successful. In 2020, uh, 2021, I had the number 2 most active and highest volume DeFi platform in the world, only behind PancakeSwap. And PancakeSwap, of course, is servicing. They're a
Yeah.
DEX, so they're servicing, thousands of projects. So if you're not considering a DEX, right, and you want to just talk about independent projects, we had and we still have the highest volume, most active DeFi platform in the world. And through this success, I built up a very large investor base and really wanted to provide a strong utility for this investor base. And that really brought us to where we are now, which is Animal Farm. So, Animal Farm is the latest product that I've developed, and it has a very strong utility. It allows people to earn as the owners of the platform. So, when you introduced me as the owner of Animal Farm, and I can see why you would make that distinction. But
Yeah.
uh, in reality, I was a big part of founding and developing the contracts. But Animal Farm is a fully and truly decentralized ownership platform, and the true owners of Animal Farm are the holders and the stakers of the governance asset.
Okay.
And the
Yeah.
governance asset allows you to earn as the owner of the platform. So all of the fees associated with the platform, all of the taxes associated with the platform, all of the capital that would traditionally go to the owner of the platform or the developers of the platform in Animal Farm go to the stakers of the governance asset. So it's a completely new model and a completely innovative model. And not only do they earn as the owners, they also it also operates similar to a board. So a DAO type model where proposals on future roadmap decisions um, are not decided through a centralized model. So the way that works is we have an initial proposal submission form where those proposals are on future roadmap decisions gets introduced through the forum. They're then put through a very intensive auditing and development phase where we determine, okay, are these proposals sustainable? Do they allow for fully decentralized, non-custodial, immutable functionality? Are they sustainable? Will they be attractive for new users, but also benefit existing users? And is it secure? And if they meet these core fundamentals, then they go into a final voting phase where the owners and stakers of the governance asset vote based on the holdings of the governance token that they have. Each governance token that they have staked represents one vote, and they have the final say on the roadmap. So it's truly a decentralized ownership, all the way from their ability to earn to decision making on roadmap proposals. So uh, that's kind of where we're at today. I just wanted to give a background because that's what you asked, and
Yeah.
also before I forget, touch on the ownership thing.
Yeah. That it sounds like you've been very successful in the whole crypto space, and I was not expecting you to sort of have been in this space for such a long time. Like a lot of people currently in the space now have only really been in for like a few years, and of course, you've been in here for a long, long time. So,
Yeah,
talking about the animal farm, there's of course the two tokens. You have pigs and dogs. Can you tell me sort of the differences between the two and how both are used?
yeah. So the core fundamental utility of Animal Farm is a yield aggregating lending platform. And unlike other platforms that pay out their yield through inflating the supply of reward tokens, Animal Farm pays out its dividend model in the form of BNB and BUSD. And this BNB and BUSD that is used to pay out these dividends is coming from a lending model and a incentive structure that's built on top of it called the Animal Farm Loyalty Program. So when someone stakes non-native collateral on our platform, such as Chainlink BUSD LP tokens or USD BUSD LP tokens, they get lent out to PancakeSwap. PancakeSwap utilizes them to fill order books and to support the products on their platform. And through this lending to PancakeSwap, we're able to earn 30 to 40% APY that is paid out in the form of BUSD to our governance stakers. So it's earned, the yield is earned as cake on PancakeSwap. It's automatically swapped for BUSD and paid out to the governance stakers. So the reason why we're called Animal Farm and the reason why it's dog and pigs token is because we went with the theming of Animal Farm, the George Orwell novel. And we went with this theming because we wanted to build a project that was truly decentralized ownership. And when you look at the novel of Animal Farm, the way it started was a centralized farm, which was owned by the farmer, and he was exploiting the capital and the resources of the animals on the farm. And then one day, the animals had a revolution, and they took it over. And when they gained control and ownership of the farm, their production went up, and their the pride of ownership and their capital and everything greatly increased. And of course, the end of Animal Farm ends up with the pigs end up being the new owners of the platform, and the dogs help protect and secure their ownership. And I thought it was kind of interesting theming that kind of loosely fit the model we went with. So that's why we went with the names that we're working with. And the pig token is the governance asset. It represents your share ownership of the platform. And the dogs token is the reward token. It's the token that you get paid out through non-native collateral staking. So when you stake, say, Link BUSD token, you earn the dog token, the AFD. So Animal Farm Dog. It's dogs and the ticker is AFD.
Okay.
You earn you earn these tokens, and they have a innovative vesting model, which is different than any other kind of vesting model in the space. So the traditional vesting model works in a way where they're locking up your tokens, and you cannot access your tokens for a period of time. And traditionally, there are unlocking periods where once a month, quarterly, once a week sometimes, they have these unlocking events. And the problem with this is they create predictable events where large amounts of the tokens end up being dumped onto the circulating supply, and it has a negative effect on the price.
Yeah.
So what people do is they know, because insiders especially are smart, and they know when this unlock event happens, the market's going to dump. So let me sell before. Even if you are a supporter of the project, it would still make sense to sell before because you could just buy it in lower after. So it has a compounding negative effect on the price of the asset when you have these predictable unlocking events. But vesting does serve a utility in the sense that it does remove tokens from the circulating supply for a period of time. Now, it's the stick model, right? And really, if you just have a model where you're just only punishing and you're not creating positive incentives, it has these compounding negative effects eventually when those tokens become unlocked. But if you can set up an incentive structure that does the stick and carrot method, where you're creating positive reward incentives for removing tokens from circulation, and you're not having predictable unlocking events, then you removed all of the negative externalities from investing while keeping and even adding to the positives. And Animal Farm Dog Token does this by having a variable tax on the token. So when you stake a non-native asset and you earn the dog token, that dog token that you get starts with a 90% tax. Now, this token can be staked in what we call the dog pound, which is the loyalty contract, which allows you to reduce your tax by 1% every day. So it has the positive of removing tokens from circulation for a period of time, but because everybody's tax is being reduced at a different rate and starting at different times, there's no predictable unlock event because everybody needs to make up their own decision when it makes sense for them to sell based on their tax reduction.
Oh, okay.
And
That's really clever.
on top of this, the tax that is being applied to the dog token is swapping for BNB and BUSD 1/3 of the swap. So 1/3 is swapped for BUSD, and 2/3 is swapped for BNB. The 1/3 that's BUSD goes to the governance staking, and the 2/3 that's BNB goes to pay the stakers in the dog pound. So as you're staked in the dog token, as your dog token is staked in the dog pound, and you're having your tax reduced every day, you're earning BNB, which is coming from the people that are selling their dogs and having this tax applied to it. So it's an incentive structure which is rewarding people in a non-native asset for removing their tokens from circulation, and it's creating the same benefits of a vesting model with none of the negative externalities. And everybody will need to make up their own decision when it makes sense to sell, because of course, initially, all newly, whether it's newly bought dogs or newly earned dogs or someone sends you dogs, it has that initial tax applied to it. So initially, very little dogs will hit the market. They're basically all removed from circulation, and people have their dogs staked. And as time goes by, and the tax is reducing for people all at different rates, eventually someone will say, okay, the price is up 5x. I've reduced my tax down to 20% or 10%. It makes sense for me to sell because, yes, I'll take a 10 or 20% hit, but the price is up 5x. And when they do that, when they make that sale, that 10 or 20% is now swapped for BNB and BUSD. The BNB that is swapped for is now 5 times greater than where they bought in. So they've just generated and accumulated that value, and now it's being transferred to the people who are remaining in the staking contract and not adding those tokens to circulation and not dumping them, further incentivizing the people that are remaining in there to remain in there. And this creates an incentive structure where everybody has to determine, okay, the price is up this much, but I'm earning this much BNB, and even though I could sell right now for a profit, I'm going to make more BNB over time. So it makes sense for me to stay in there, and everybody needs to make up their own decision. So you never have any predictable large unlocking events where large amounts of the token are being added to circulation. Now, on top of this, the dog tokens can be utilized to earn the governance asset. So there are 2 ways that you can earn the governance asset. One of them is by getting into the auto compounding dog pound, which actually reduces your tax 25% faster and has 20% more BNB that is allocated to the dog pound, distributed to it. So you're going to earn more BNB, and you're going to have your tax reduced 25% faster if you get into the auto compounding dog pound. And the beauty of the auto compounding dog pound is that the BNB that you earn, half of it gets utilized to buy dogs on your behalf, pairs it in the dog BNB pool, and then utilizes it to farm the governance asset, pigs, AFP. So as you're reducing your tax and you're earning BNB, you're also increasing your ownership, your share ownership of the platform as a whole. And another way that you can earn the pigs token is just by skipping that process and just pairing the dogs directly with BNB or BUSD and putting that into those pools. And that will allow you to earn the pigs governance token. So the pigs governance token is what represents your share ownership of the platform, but it's also how you collect the yield which is being generated through the lending to PancakeSwap. So when you stake the governance token pigs into the governance staking contract, which is called the pig pen, you're not only earning BUSD, which is coming from 1/3 of the tax applied to all the dogs swapping, you're also earning a share of all the fees relative to deposits and withdrawals, all the fees associated with the platform. And also, you're earning the BUSD, which is being generated through the lending to PancakeSwap. So that those assets that are staked, those non-native assets that are staked, that you're earning the dogs on, those assets are being lent to PancakeSwap, earning 30 to 40% APY in cake, which is swapped for BUSD, and that BUSD is paid out to the pigpen. It's paid out to the governance staking contract. So the only way that you can secure this 30 to 40% APY yield that you're generating through the backend lending is by utilizing those dogs that you've earned, the reward token, to increase your share ownership of the platform by farming the governance asset, either by getting directly into the pools or getting to the auto compounding dog pound. So it creates a massive incentive structure that heavily rewards people for utilizing the assets that they're earning on the dog pound to secure their profit in the form of BUSD and BNB rather than selling the native assets on the market. Because if they sell the native assets on the market, if they sell the dog's asset, they cannot utilize it to increase their ownership of the platform. So they're missing out on all of that. Plus, they're missing out on the yield that they're generating through the lending to PancakeSwap. And if they don't utilize the pigs that they're earning, of course, that's a major waste, because they're generating these governance assets and then dumping them on the market for some short-term gain when they can earn very high yield at very low risk through staking them in the governance contract. And I say low risk because all of our contracts are fully decentralized, immutable in all the ways that matter, meaning we have no way to change the contract in a way that allow us to access liquidity or user capital. They're fully non-custodial, meaning that the user is the only one that can access their capital. We have no ability to access principal at all. And they are lending to fully decentralized, non-custodial, open source options. All of our contracts are fully open source. They've been audited multiple times by multiple, high-end third-party auditing firms, which are available on the website. And we're really providing a strong utility in the form of lending and an improved incentive structure over anything you can get in the space. And on top of this, you're getting all of the benefit that you would get through staking on PancakeSwap, which is right now the #1 farm in the space, but you're also getting these additional cash flows in the form of BUSD and BNB. So we're only about a month and 7 days old, but we are growing in TVL rapidly. We are performing extremely well, and we're really just getting started. We have so much more to go, but the market is already realizing that the value that we're providing is really just greater and more decentralized and really fitting the fundamental principles of DeFi. And just to speak on one more thing like an overview explanation of Animal Farm, um, all of these other platforms, even PancakeSwap, they pay out their rewards through inflating the supply, and they inflate the supply in a completely blind, agnostic way. So they set an amount, their supply is inflating, and it doesn't matter what the demand is. It doesn't matter how many people are staking it. It doesn't matter how many people are utilizing it. It doesn't matter what the overall market conditions are. It just blindly mints and blindly inflates that amount of tokens, block after block after block. And this is one of the reasons why they bleed out. They bleed out because they're paying their rewards in their native asset, which requires someone to sell their native asset in order to secure a profit. And they're also bleeding out because they continue to inflate the supply even in times of low demand. And where Animal Farm fundamentally changes this is we pay out our dividend model in a non-native asset. So you do not need to sell our native assets, which is dogs and pigs, AFP and AFD, to secure your profit. You're securing your profit in the form of BNB and BUSD. And on top of this, we have something that we innovated, which is called the Decentralized Dynamic Supply Control Algorithm. And this is an algorithm that takes in several values. It's relatively simple, but and just simple and easy to understand, but it is innovative. It takes in several values such as price and range and these kinds of metrics that allow you to track demand, and it adjusts the emission rate based on the demand for the underlying assets, and it does it within a range. So at the high, it can never go above the high end of the range, which is a rate that is sustainable given the amount of native assets which are being removed from the supply. But in times of low demand, it restricts the supply and the emission rate to the low end of the range. And now the taxes and deflationary aspects of the asset allow it to become deflationary and shrink the supply in times of low demand. So it's able to adjust the emission rate to ensure the amount of tokens that are being added to circulation are not inflating. It's always keeping the emission rate on par with what's being removed from the circulation. So you don't have that bleeding out because it's not blindly inflating the supply. And also, it allows you to secure profit in the form of the non-native assets, BNB and BUSD, and it heavily disincentivizes people from securing their profit through selling the native assets. Because if you do, you're creating a value transfer from yourself to the people who are not doing that, and also you're missing out on several cash flows that you would otherwise be accessing. So that's I would say brief, just because there's so much to the project, but I think comprehensive just breakdown of what Animal Farm is doing, and we have so much more in the roadmap and that we have coming out in the next few days. But yeah, I'm interested to answer any more questions. And I'll try to be concise with the rest.
So that was a great breakdown. I feel like anybody listening 100% will now get the concept of the Animal Farm. Last question from me would probably just be, can you tease anything that you've got coming up? Like, what are the plans for the Animal Farm in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So this Thursday, so on December 8th, I'm not sure if this will be coming out before then, probably not, but on December 8th, our governance model, which our governance voting system goes live. So currently right now, if you're staking the governance asset, you're earning all the fees and taxes and the cash flow from the back-end lending. The governance voting model, which will allow voting and submission of future proposals, goes live tomorrow on the 8th. That's going to be a major event because it cements kind of the last core contract that needs to be deployed for Animal Farm. And everything that comes after that will be additional products. This is the last core element to Animal Farm. And that goes live tomorrow. that will be something that will be very much celebrated by the community. And we have so much more coming. So right now, we're doing lending to PancakeSwap, and this is LP, so liquidity lending. Very shortly, we're going to have single asset lending, and it will be providing the single asset lending through providing collateral to bridges. And right now, we have a short list of bridges that we'll be providing collateral to, AnySwap, Seller, and potentially Stargate. And not only will it allow you to uh, provide this collateral to these bridges, it will do it in a way that allows you to auto compound your position into them. So if you're staking single asset BUSD, you can decide that you want to stake it and lend it to, for example, AnySwap. And what it's going to do is lend your capital in a fully non-custodial way to AnySwap. It will earn their Any token, sell that Any token for you on a constant basis for BUSD, and add to your BUSD principal. So it allows you to earn compound interest in these various bridges. And that will increase the yield on the platform and provide a great utility, because there's billions of dollars in these bridges. There's a ton of demand for the ability to easily add capital to these bridges, and there's no one that's allowing you to do it in a way that allows you to earn compound interest and compound your position into it in an automated way. And we're going to be providing these options, so additional lending options. That's on the roadmap by the end of the year. We have a uh, a whole another white label product that's going live called Scratchy, which is the first fully decentralized scratch ticket model. And that's a white label service that will allow any DeFi product to adopt it, and it adds an additional cash flow to their platform. But and there's already dozens of blue chip projects that are ready to host it. But initially, we're going to be hosting it on Animal Farm, because it will be a proof of concept, and that's going to be something that's going to be major. It's going to add hundreds of thousands of dollars of new cash flow to Animal Farm and be another reason for people to show up every day. And then, just to give one more major utility that we're adding in likely the first half of next year, essentially a individualized lending model, which allows any individual to join a lending pool or even establish a lending pool of virtually any asset, and allow anybody to join that lending pool to issue a loan by providing collateral, and the amount of interest that they pay on that loan is relative to the amount of lenders versus the amount of people that are providing collateral to get issued the loan. And it will work very much like a DEX, where anybody can create a pool, and it's fully automated as far as the amount of interest that's paid and all of that. And that's something that as well will service all of DeFi, but will be hosted on Animal Farm and will be truly innovative, right? Because what we're doing is cutting edge yield aggregating and lending models, and this is the way forward. And if you look at what's going on recently in the space with FTX, with all of these centralized custodial lending platforms that are fully closed source, I think the market is recognizing every day that these are not trustworthy. People that have been in DeFi for a long time already knew this, but the market as a whole is realizing that these are not what crypto is about. They were not DeFi. None of the true DeFi platforms were affected by them, and they will be looking for models to earn the same kind of yield through the same kind of utility, but in a truly decentralized, non-custodial, low-risk way that meets the fundamental principles of DeFi and was built to recognize and value what crypto can provide and what it was truly built for. And we're ready to take advantage of that. We have a major marketing firm that we just brought on. We have a really strong team right now, and we're just getting started. We're only a month old. We're already, I think, ranked number 8 right now for all of BSC as far as TVL. And while all these other projects are kind of just bleeding out because of the market conditions and also because of their economic game theory, we are just growing stronger and stronger every day. And it's extremely exciting. And if anybody wants to learn about it, they can go to animalfarm.app. They can go on Twitter and look at our Twitter account, which is at Animal Farm DeFi. And we also have a Telegram group, which I'm sure you could share in the description or whatever. But we're most active on Telegram. We have a very large Telegram community of something like 30,000 users. It's extremely active. And we do our updates regularly on Twitter as well. So those are the best place to find us. On top of this, we have a competition right now. If you go to animalfarm.app, we have a Gleam competition where you could do various tasks such as follow our social media, retweet a post, visit the website, and each task that you do represents one ticket to win a $5,000 prize. And on January 1st, we're using the Gleam API, so it's verifiably secure and truly randomized. And on January 1st, we will be picking one winner out of the people that do these tasks to pay out this $5,000 prize. And we've already had 2 of these events. We've already paid out over $10,000 in prizes. And this is something that anybody can get involved with. And if they go there, they'll get the landing page. They'll see a basic description of the project, and they'll find our social medias, which I would strongly suggest they visit.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds like, well, Animal Farm, it's already been super successful. And again, you're only like a month old. So big things to come in the future. I think that's pretty much everything. I want to say thank you for your time. You sound like you're probably busy with all of the stuff you are working on. And I think that's
Great.
about it from me. Just wrapping up, hope you guys enjoyed that interview. Again, Animal Farm, make sure to check out their socials and even that giveaway where you guys can earn $5,000. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. You've been watching the Crypto Express channel, and I'll see you on my next video.